very pleased to have our panel here, introducing quickly our three speakers. Sharon Kindley-Sides, who amongst many things is founder of the Women in ITS Special Interest Group. Joe Field, who amongst many other things is president of Women in Transport, and Hanif Khan, who amongst many other things is the transport portfolio holder for Hounslow Borough Council here.
I mean, I'm here to tell you a few facts and figures about myself, about my journey to becoming a cyclist, okay? So when Mark Frost sent me a WhatsApp message, he said, "Hey, look, you've got a really interesting story. Why don't you tell everybody about it? Because didn't you used to be one of those petrol heads?" So I said, yes, why not? So I put something down. I don't have any slides, so I would just talk for 5 minutes, okay, and then allow us enough time to ask me any questions you want. So when I started reflecting on this, I've had two journeys into cycling, right? The first journey, or in fact, I'll take my second journey first, okay? This was through the social media. If you know anything about me, and you follow me on social media, and you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that I do quite a lot of videos. And I have any excuse to turn up, shoot a little video, and regardless of how horrible, hopeless I look, and whatever I'm saying, I think it sounds interesting, but I'll push it out on Twitter, no problem. So, one of my earlier videos, I did one of these videos, and I went out there and I shot a video and I gave my experiences, and I said, look, one thing I did notice is that no one had their lights on, but no one was also wearing a helmet. Right, so by saying that to the community of the cycling world, that you should be wearing a helmet, is probably the worst rookie move I could have ever have done, right? Honestly, the Twitter storm that came about, you can't dictate, you can't do this. All right, that was my kind of first experience. But one thing I did learn in that experience, that there are some really fantastic people who cycle with some really strong opinions, who know this subject inside out, and you can ask them anything and they'll be able to give you the best argument for good, bad, and the ugly, right? So that's one thing I learned. So that was my kind of second journey into cycling. And I've made some really great cycling friends, and I really enjoy my time I spend with them. So my first journey, like most of the people here, would have been in their childhood. All right? So when you first got on your bike, probably the thing you most loved about the cycle was that it gave you a bit of freedom, a bit of liberty, and it said, right, I can now leave my streets. I don't have to play football, cricket on the street. I can get on my bike and go round the corner and see someone. So that was one of the first kind of things that I felt and I really enjoyed about cycling. So that was kind of like my first one. So I'm just going to look at some of the notes I've put here, because, right, here we go. Right, so back then, when we used to cycle, we used to play these games. We used to wheelie, if you remember. Who could do the furthest distance in wheeling? And who could do the biggest jump? I mean, I can tell the demographic here. Most of you know a chopper, right? Did you ever try to do a jump on the chopper? Not a good move. But we used to play this game called Daredevil. You might have had another name for it as well, where you get yourself in a confined space and you get on your bike and you're trying to attack someone without touching them, try and get them to fall off. And the one who stayed on the longest won the game. So that's the sort of things we've done. I wouldn't recommend that now anyway. But that was my kind of memory of my childhood when I used to cycle. Now moving 30 years on, right, I probably didn't touch my cycle for 30 years. And that's similar to many people when you talk to them and want to get back into cycling. Oh, the cycle's in the shed, or, oh, my kids have the cycle. So me now, or before I cycled, I would always prefer to take the car. It was just convenient, right? Most people. Everything I needed was just round the corner, and I had everything in my car that I wanted. You know, my music, my food, and everything. So it just became one of those things that you just did. You didn't think about using anything else. But actually, you know, when I used to drive, set at traffic lights, I used to get cyclists come up in front in the safe zone, somewhere in that Lycra, you know, with the shades and the weather was nice. You thought, how cool are they? And then you used to get people, it was raining, they used to wear their hoods, but you think, oh, I wish I could be one of those people, right? Because I always wanted to be a cyclist, but like all of us, right, we're too busy. We've got family in the car all the time. Parents need to be taken somewhere. You've got kids, so you don't have the ability to always want to cycle, because my activity then was either football, badminton, and swimming in a way, and cycling was not one of those things that I would ever kind of consider doing. And I used to think, and that if I took my car for the short journey to go and get my bread, milk's run out, get in the car, go around the corner, or elsewhere, because we know that 40% of all our journeys in the borough and around the country, they can be done within 20 minutes, either on foot or walking, whatever you want to do. I mean, that's just a statistic. But actually, what I did realise, and most of the cyclists here would know, that it's probably quicker to get on a bike. No problem trying to find a parking space, like everyone suffers. So I'm now kind of understanding where I'm getting to. Because when I then took on the mantle of becoming the lead member for transport, and I started talking to many of my officers who do some fantastic work. I've got to say how passionate, and I'm no expert, honestly. I'm a politician. We just use experts like you to tell us what to say, and if we agree with it, we say it. If we don't, we just say, all right, thanks for that, no problem. But my transport team and the people who've come and gone, and I see them in the crowd here today, thank you. I'm glad you guys are all doing really well. And my officers who are there now are doing a brilliant job. And it soon was made clear to me that active travel, walking, cycling, that's the most important thing, besides relaying the roads and changing the structure of the road, putting in traffic lights. But it was more about changing people's mindset to not use the car, because we've got to offer an alternative. So it became quite clear to me, besides all the other stuff, right, losing weight, the public health, but we needed to also find an alternative mode of transport. We can't rely on cars, which you all know the answers to. I don't need to tell you about that, how important it is. But anyway, over the kind of next sort of things that I used to do, I kind of realised that my health, now this is me talking a bit personal now, right? My health started getting less and less. It was getting worse. It was just putting on weight. It was deteriorating. Because life just caught up. I stopped doing my activities. So what was I going to do? So being the lead member for transport, and I decided to walk the talk, and I bought my first bike in summer 2020, right? So I did it. And I didn't realise I bought a brilliant bike. It was a Boardman's bike. And we all know Broadman, who he was, his history about him, and I actually was very fortunate to meet him in person as well at 10 Downing Street when I and my team were thanked by the leader of this country for all of the fantastic work that London Borough of Hounslow was doing in active travel. And Chris was there as well, and I told him my story. He was very impressed, so that's one for me. So that's my kind of journey there. And then after purchasing my bike in the summer, one of the things that it really did remind me of was my time. I used to be a skier. I used to do lots of active stuff. And the thing I loved about skiing is when you go down a mountain, you're on your own, you decide how you want to do the mountain, go left, go and hit someone, fall over, break a leg, whatever. It's your choice, you do it. So cycling for me was that. I would cycle on the roads, and I would then decide how I wanted to take the left turn, right turn, and it felt good. It was a really good feeling. So I kind of got hooked. So that's why I can carry on cycling, and I really enjoy it. And I made lots of new friends. My cousins got them all into cycling. I met many colleagues who cycle. But during that summer, one of the best things for me was to take my kids out cycling and my wife and make our own adventures. Once you go down that road, you get the bug. And I'm nearly done, by the way. How long have I been speaking for?
Too long.
Okay, 2 minutes. So all I'll end with then, look, when I was cycling, we had the choppers, and my first memory of a road bike was the rally. But now you look at today, you've got every mode of transport. You've got e-vehicles, e-cargo bikes, folding bikes. You've got these super cycles that you get a puncture, and it doesn't matter, they just refix themselves. So you didn't have all that, but now you've got so much technology because the world's moved on. And we need to move on, and we need to embrace the change. And if we don't change, the people coming, our next generation are going to embrace the change. Either we do it, or they will force us to do it. And I think I'll just end on that. And just to say a positive note, that I have genuinely stopped using my car as much as I possibly can. And I cycle more often. So I'll stop there, okay? Tom, all right? Is that cool? Thank you very much.